the mainstream media has a pro-Zionist bias? Elite higher education, secular madrasas. Does anyone think that elite higher education has a pro-Zionist bias?
The people who teach it and the universities that fund it, you know, like UCLA and USC and Pepperdine and places like that, places like NYU, Fordham, Columbia University. You see, the people who run these places that have control over the money and power, they support the Zionist state. But the student body generally doesn't. How they speak it from that perspective still, to me, well, first of all, it's deliberate.
Who's this guy?
So James Kirchick is just, take a guess, Jen. He looks exactly like you would think a...
He looks like he's just a Zio mouthpiece. All right, continue.
That's exactly what he is. We'll continue.
Is he a tech bro?
I don't think he's that intelligent.
Hey, look at Hollywood. 50 years ago, Vanessa Redgrave could get up and give an Academy Award acceptance speech and attack Zionist hoodlums. Her words, protesting her outside. And what happened? The great director Paddy Chayefsky got up and he rebuked her and he said he was tired of people exploiting the Academy Awards for the propagation of their own personal political propaganda. And he received a standing ovation for saying that.
No, we didn't. And Vanessa Redgrave's Oscar acceptance speech, if you haven't seen it, is probably still to this day one of the most ballsy, on the mark acceptance speeches ever. I know people reference Michael Moore's acceptance speech with Bowling for Columbine, but, or was it, or I don't know if it, or it was Fahrenheit 9/11, I believe. Either way, they don't come along too often. And so what he's saying right now, of course, which is what Zionists tend to do, is a form of revisionist history about what actually happened.
What happens now, today? 2 years ago, a Jewish film director who directed a movie about Auschwitz gets up there accepting an award and says that Auschwitz is being hijacked by Israel to oppress Palestinians. And Steven Spielberg says nothing at that same event. Okay? So Hollywood, I would also say, is anti-Zionist. You have to think about these other institutions that the left controls. It's not just the Democratic Party. I would say politics and the Democratic Party are the least thing. I worry about them the least for the reasons that Kathy
That's the only
said,
thing I agree with.
great.
I'd worry about them the least too, but I assure you the left and the Democrats are two different things. Also, it's hilarious to me that this is the perspective that, like, what right-wing nonsense thing is this?
Think about how much your message doesn't resonate anymore when you feel that you have to attack Hollywood for not being pro-Israel enough.
Exactly.
When was this video?
Last week or this week.
Okay, so it was recent.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, there's the total... that's why I'm saying people really live in information bubbles, because this guy, he might not really believe what he's saying. I don't know. But if he does, he lives in an information silo. So he's only hearing the team that he wants to hear.
I don't even know if it's necessarily an information silo. It's that they truly conduct themselves as above reproach. They see themselves as cultural elite. He's certainly not a physical elite.
No, but I don't know how you would how you would see Hollywood as not being Zio when it's always been completely Zio. So that's
not Zio enough for them.
Right. That's
it needs
the
to
level
be
of
so
work.
extreme, which is crazy. Any sort of like minor criticism or even just saying like children shouldn't be starved to death, Miss Rachel, is absolutely anti-Semitic to them. You know, it's insane like how violent they want the rest of the world to be, because as they're being exposed for how deranged they are, it's starting to make them feel some type of way. You know, they feel seen, you know, and they don't like the level of criticism of their violence. They want everybody else to be on board with it. Like, how dare you not be violent with us? What is wrong with you? You anti-Semitic?
We've been very clear since Charlie's assassination. Proof positive. You can never be pro-Israel enough. There is no such thing. You can never go far enough.
Can
Because-
I mention something on the Charlie Kirk thing?
Sure.
Everybody was going towards, the Israel thing. I didn't really follow that too much. I never really watched Charlie Kirk. So when he passed away, I was like, oh, well, that's a politically motivated assassination for sure. But, I wasn't like feeling one way or another because I didn't really, know or follow the guy. But one thing I did notice was up until that point, there was some propaganda in the media talking about wanting to take away gun rights from transgender people. And then when they said that the shooter was potentially transgender and this and that, I'm like, Republicans are going to start going after gun rights. And they're going to do it slowly. They're going to say, hey, let's get other Republicans on board with taking away rights against these certain people. And then it's going to go into these certain people. And then the leftists, and then the Democrats, and then whoever, but they're slowly chopping away at that Second Amendment right. And they were using the Charlie Kirk assassination to do it. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah.
Well, if you take a look at some of the clips we've put out there, you will see that that is just a front for what this is all about, which is the marriage that has existed since 1948 and took a whole other level of insanity, which in my opinion had to do with the assassination of our president in 1963, and then the USS Liberty attack in 1967, which was a real preempt to what was going on in Vietnam. To me, Israel has been at the center of almost every bad thing that has continued to sink the United States into its inevitable empire collapse as a result. As you like to say, Jen, we're Israel, they are us.
Yeah, it's the same.
We'll finish it up.
Democrats fighting for Israel, obviously, but in these other very influential the art world is totally anti-Zionist.
What does that
After
tell you?
October-
Say no more. Say no more. Like, that's all you need to know about any given topic. The artists are not with if the artists aren't with you, you're on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Seventh, practically every artistic organization in this country put out statements attacking Israel. Those are all left-wing institutions.
Left wing. Yes. You know what? All artists are left wing. All artists are what kind of asinine thing is that? But there's just the total straw man crap that people like that put out. But yeah, I would say in general, if you're on the opposite side from the artists, and I mean the real artists, you're wrong.
If you think that Kerchik is bad, does everybody remember Batya Ungar-Sargon?
No, who is? Why do you make me watch these things? It's terrible. They're such crap. Like, do we need to watch another Zio?
I'm an equal opportunist for men and women to be Zionist scum.
To John Fetterman himself, his Zionism puts him out of step with the rest of his party, which, I'm sorry, only 13% stand with Israelis against the Palestinians.
Now.
Listen to what she just said. That's a slip of the tongue. A total slip of the tongue. Let's play it one more time just in case you missed it.
I'm sorry, only 13% stand with Israelis against the Palestinians.
I thought it was Hamas.
Well,
it's actually the Palestinians.
She slipped on that, yeah.
Did it? No correction, nothing.
No.
So if you're questioning whether or not this is a genocidal psychopathic state that needs to be what, Jen?
Lanced like a boil off of humanity.
Here's another example of why that must happen.
This is a party whose grassroots is right now captured by the left. And so Zionism does not have a future in the American left.
Yes.
The Democratic Party's relationship with Zionism depends on whether it's willing to repudiate that far left. And the thing that makes this so appalling is that Jews built the left in this country. We built the labor movement.
Yeah.
We broke the New Deal. 70% of the lawyers who worked on civil rights cases were Jews. We've been at the forefront of every liberal and leftist issue in this country.
And yet, she doesn't see the connection to this.
Right. Where's the Venn diagram? Like, does she need one drawn for her? Like,
it's amazing, like the disconnect. So, okay, so Jews have been on the forefront of those things over time, and yet they're with the Palestinians. What does that tell you? Like, that's the whole point.
We're all wrong. All of us are wrong. She's right.
It's like she's like, it was the same as him. It's like, yes, the artists are not with you. The Jews are not all with you. Maybe that's a sign.
They still can't see, or they refuse to see, but this is also the Zionist ideology. You cannot separate Zionism from Judaism. The second you do that, it's the end of your ideology. That's why they cling so tightly to the talking point that Zionism is Judaism. It's the only thing they have, because this is why I think that Christian Zionism is going to crack first before Jewish Zionism does.
And it has been. And that's actually been a very scary place that I kind of dabbled in. In the beginning of the year, me and my teams were discussing, how to kind of do outreach to churches and, discuss this in like a Christian sense and talk to Christian Zionists and Republicans about Zionism and why it's not good for anybody. And then as soon as, the narrative started changing in the Republican spaces, we were like, wait a second, these people are actually genuine Nazis. Maybe we don't want them to sit with us at our table, And it's pretty scary, like to see some people where they made some really good anti-Zionist videos, and then they come out with some genuine hateful stuff. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is still Marjorie Taylor Greene, regardless if she hates Israel or not. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm moving to her district, so I know exactly who she is.
I think that this is why when I do my solo show on Saturdays, I'm very clear about, it's one thing if the message you're getting about anti-Zionism is coming from Tucker Carlson. It's another thing entirely if it's coming from Nick Fuentes. You have to be very clear about who you are willing to break bread with. Nick Fuentes does not hide the fact that he's a white nationalist. He's actually very proud of it. And then you hear language from other people like Dan Bilzerian, for example, who says it's a Jew problem and not a Zio-Jew problem. And it's like, if you're not going to be politically nuanced, then you're deliberately trying to get people hurt.
Right. And so I think these Zionists coming out and really just bashing the Democratic Party, I think it's a way to just stroke the backs of the Republican Party, because they know they're losing the Republican votes as well.
Oh, yeah. I still maintain that America First libertarianism, which is anti-Israel all the way, is eventually going to take over the GOP. And when that happens, knowing the Democratic Party and knowing how they do business, they are going to welcome all of the Zios with open arms. Why? First and foremost, because of their money. The money above everything else, which is what floats that fake frickin' party to begin with, is their top priority. They will come up with excuses. We have to stop the Republicans, et cetera, and they'll figure out a way, or their party will die, which hopefully it will.
Their party's going to die. But, I want to say that my experience being in South Florida, which is Zio Central, it really is. It's Zio Central, and it is definitely Jewish Zio Central. The majority of the Zionists that are like really the people that's what they vote on, that's their most important issue, those Jews, they've always been Republicans. They've always been Republicans. Growing up, like the people, like my family, my parents were definitely Democrats. Most of my friends' parents were Democrats, but the people whose parents were about Israel, they all voted Republican. So it was even within a fairly similar social class, economic class of people, the more Zionist people have tended to be Republican, not Democrat. I'm just saying.
Mia, if you have an opportunity, if you're not familiar with Punch Up Pod, they're based out of
Hi, Lila.
Yeah, they're based out of SoCal. Definitely check them out if you get a chance.
They go live after us tonight.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check them out. One thing I wanted to say about the Zio, Democratic Republican, everything that they're doing, this talking, this and that, it really doesn't matter, because all that matters is the money. And when it comes down to it, AIPAC splits the amount of donations evenly between the Democrats and the Republicans. So they can, all of this is just, it's digital foreplay for everybody to just watch and argue amongst each other and move away from the fact that money is still being reallocated from the American people to settlements in the West Bank and bombing children in Gaza. It's all going to the same place. They don't care. This is just show.
We'll finish it up.
The absolute chutzpah of saying, you're not welcome here. You know what it reminds me of? When they banned smoking in bars. I was a smoker, and I was so outraged. I was like, if there's going to be a turf war over this, surely the smokers should have gotten the bars, okay? And you can so easily imagine a counterfactual in which the left in America said, wait a minute. We can't oppose Zionism because we would lose our beloved Jews who have been there with us at the forefront every minute that we built this movement. We have to find a way to make sure that Zionists still feel welcome. We could never do that to them. And they didn't do that. They did the opposite.
No, you stupid bitch. How it works is the left, the real left, we reject Zionism outright. Also, we're generally not capitalists. So there's a whole variety of just ignoramus in what that woman just spewed.
That woe is me bullshit. Why don't you like us? We're just killing a few people.
But to think that the left, should somehow have a tent big enough for you when you are diametrically opposed to everything that the actual left stands for. But what's interesting is she's referring to the Democratic Party, which is hilarious to me because they're not the left. They will have you with open arms. They send the money. They just say, we don't like AIPAC, some of us, but we'll still sign the bill, send all the money.
Yeah, exactly. Killing kids is wrong. We shouldn't do that. We'll condemn it, but we won't call it a genocide. Right. That's what they do.
Of course. So that doesn't, right. That's so the fact that, right, that the Dems aren't, that's why the Dems are going away, because they don't offer anything different than the Republicans. Their numbers are down. I'm telling you guys, they're new Coke. We don't need them.